Thom Hartmann here with you. Boy, there is so much going on. I have this huge stack of stuff to share with you today. And of course, it's Friday, so it's Anything Goes Friday. So, you know, if there's any topic that you want to talk about, lizard people in the State Department, feel free. Our number is 202-808-9925. Just a few things that I wanted to, just a whole bunch actually of things that I wanted to share with you. First of all, conservatives who aren't conservative. I'm not sure, we need a name for them, maybe BS Republicans or something. Republicans and conservatives have for, centuries actually, promoted the idea of federalism. Federalism is where the states have most of the power and the federal government provides kind of the glue that holds it all together, but basically the dictates don't come from the top down, they go from the bottom up. And I realize that's a lousy definition of federalism, but it kind of works for the context that I'm putting this in. And so in that context, conservatives would always say, well, power should come from the bottom up. Therefore, if states want to do things like, deny black people the right to vote, they should be allowed to do that because of states' rights, right? Because of federalism. 10th Amendment. Well, that got kind of blown up by Bobby Kennedy back in the 60s when he went into several southern states and said that the Commerce Clause in the Constitution, which allows the federal government to regulate commerce among and between the various states and Indian tribes, as I recall the language directly, or maybe it's just the various states. In any case, the Commerce Clause says that the federal government can insert itself into things that involve interstate commerce. And because your lunch counter in Birmingham, Alabama is serving Heinz ketchup, and I mean, literally, this was the example that Bobby Kennedy used. Because your lunch counter is serving Heinz ketchup, and Heinz ketchup is manufactured in Pennsylvania, you are engaged in interstate commerce, and therefore you cannot have a white-only sign in your diner because it violates federal law, the Federal Civil Rights Act, and whatnot. And, so the Republicans' pushback, the conservative pushback on that was, wait a minute, you're really stretching things here. We're big fans of federalism. We love states' rights. We're all about states' rights. And, that's going to be our principle forever. Until now. So now you have, in fact, a friend of mine who is a conservative, he's been on, actually, I don't think he's ever been on our radio show. He's on my TV show a lot. Sent me a link this morning to an article by Eric Erickson over at theresurgent.com. It's titled 3 Cheers for Sanctuary Cities. Yes, Eric Erickson, the right-wing commentator, publisher. I think he publishes Red State, I believe. And he just comes right out and he says it. Sanctuary cities, and this is about sanctuary cities, right? What a sanctuary city is where the city says to the feds, immigration law is not state law and it's not city law, it is federal law. So it's the job of the federal government to enforce immigration law. So, if you want to have federal agents in our town, that's fine, we can't stop you. But do not ask us, do not ask our police department to enforce your immigration laws, because those are not state laws or city laws, and we enforce state and city laws. We don't go after spies. That's the FBI's job. We don't go after immigrants. That's the ISIS job. We don't go after counterfeiters. I mean, maybe they would arrest them, but they would immediately bring in the feds, the Treasury Department. The original feds, Elliot Ness, right? He was with the Treasury Department. That was the original feds. We bring them in. But now you've got, the whole Fox News machine and Bill O'Reilly and all these people going, oh, sanctuary cities, oh my God, this is terrible. And really what it is it's ginning up racial hatred. I mean, that's the bottom line. Conservatives have ceased to be conservatives. They have become bigots. And they call it conservatism. And it's really refreshing to see a guy who actually considers himself a conservative, in this case Eric Erickson, saying, sanctuary cities are an exercise in federalism at an extreme level. Federal officials tell cities that they must enforce federal laws to get federal funds, but the federal government often uses coercive powers of the purse to extract from cities and states what it wants. And, basically, he's saying you should, leave up to the cities what they're doing. He says, the truth is that sanctuary cities exist because of the voters who vote for the elected officials there. And their voters wanted it. We should let them have it, says Eric Erickson. Right. And here's another example. Heartless in the Heartland. This over at Huffington Post yesterday. Article by Mitchell Hirsch. This is the first time. This was Iowa. The governor of Iowa, Terry Branstad, signed legislation on Thursday that rolls back the minimum wage. There are cities in Iowa that have minimum wages higher than the state minimum wage. And the Republicans in the Iowa state legislature and the Republican governor just said, no, you can't do that. Well, this is kind of the state version of federalism. What happened to Republicans saying, we like power at the local level?